Alrighty, welcome to the Lookout Podcast. I'm joined by the incredible Lina Montopoli. Lina is longtime firefighter, Lolo hotshot, and now physician's assistant, right? PA?
Yeah, physician assistant. There's
Assistant.
There's no S at the end of it.
Oh, which one? Did I say physicians?
Yeah.
Like several? Just one physician.
It's common. It happens all the time.
Oh, man. It's, National Park Service, right? I think people say parks. I think it's park.
Yeah.
I'm just as guilty as anybody. Thanks for joining me, though. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks. Yeah.
Let's start with the fire side of things. What year did you start in fire?
My first year was 2015. I was on an engine in Big Timber.
Oh, really?
Yep, that was my first job. I applied. I had been previously to that working at Rocky Mountain National Park as a volunteer coordinator.
Oh, really?
And that was where I first learned about like fire, kind of. And the guy that I was dating at the time was on the wildland fire module in Rocky. And I was working for, I was doing like an internship making I think I was making like $800 a month.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, dang, these guys are making a lot of money in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So I applied to probably, I don't know, the classic, just like USA jobs through my
Shocking everything out there.
Yeah, just like clicked all of the check boxes for locations in the West, basically. And Big Timber was the first place that called. I had never been to Montana. And I was like, let me Google map this real quick. And I was like, yeah, looks great. So I took that job. And then,
Did you ever find any Big Timber in Big Timber? It's a question I always wondered about.
Well, I had never used a chainsaw before that, so I was not cutting any big timber, but there is big timber.
In Big Timber?
Around Big Timber. Yeah.
I know, because you go to like the town of Big Timber and it's like in the prairie. You're like,
yeah.
Where's the timber?
Yeah, you got to get up a little ways, but there's some trees around there. Yeah, so that was my first year. It was 2015 on the engine.
And then made a pretty clean adjustment, though, from being with the park?
Yeah. I mean, I technically wasn't a park employee. I was like a intern through, I guess it would have been an NPS intern, but it was kind of like an ancillary job that had like yearly funding for just this internship. I like ran a blog and...
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a very random job, but I loved it, and it was the first time I had ever really spent any significant time out west, and I was just like, this is incredible. So
yeah. So you got some writing skills then?
Yeah. My major I went to like a humanities-based high school in Washington, D.C., so we did a lot of writing as part of that education, and then my major in college was also very writing heavy.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I just done a lot of writing. Now I think it's so funny to think about because I don't know what I would do if I was in college with AI at this point. I think I maybe would care less about writing.
Oh, I know. It really cut the passion off, right? You know, because you just be like, this is not turned out how I like it. And like, let's upload and see what Grok has to say about this.
I'm so curious what that's like for people that age now, because it would be really hard to resist the temptation of just having AI do it for you. But anyway.
Yeah, because you could, like, and I've done it a few times, even like post, I'll be like, man, this is kind of, it's not exactly worded the way I want, but it sounds pretty good. And then I'll like throw it at like Grok or whatever, and it'll like spit something out that's like about perfect, and then you can tweak it a little bit, and you're like, dang, I don't know if my little brain would have came up with that.
I know. It makes you kind of feel weird about your own brain's capacity sometimes, but
I know, but sometimes like you're like, I can do a little better than that.
Yeah.
Like, so like there's a opposite side.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you grew up in the DC area? I guess we're kind of jumping tracks on you, but
Yep. So I grew up in DC. My parents are still there. We lived in Italy for 4 years through my childhood. Also, my dad's in the Navy, so we were technically stationed over there. And then moved out or went to college in Pennsylvania, and then was just kind of bopping around after college. I had been working on farms, and I thought I might kind of go into agriculture, but then I ended up getting that internship at Rocky Mountain National Park, just kind of by happenstance. I was like living in my car after college and ended up in Colorado, and also was kind of didn't have any money left at that point, and I was like, I better find something. So I just went into the public library in Crested Butte and went on recreation.gov, and they had a job. I applied for it. Lindsay, who was my supervisor there, called me the next day and was like, we had somebody for this job and they just called and said they're not coming. Can you be here in like 2 days? And I was like, matter of fact, yes, I live in my vehicle, so I can be there like as soon as I can drive from Crested Butte to Estes Park.
Yeah, I'm very mobile, actually.
Yeah. And they have park housing for all the employees and everything.
Cool.
So it was a pretty seamless transition. And then that was kind of my entry into like government and learning about fire and making that whole transition.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And this kind of a question before on the podcast, like we talked about before we started recording, I guess. Did you do any climbing then? Estes Park, I heard it's got some good climbing.
I did. I don't really anymore. I used to climb, honestly, a lot, mostly indoor, because as I started, as you know, working in fire, the summer is not really your free time. So I had climbing gym memberships for a number of years. It's not really a thing I do anymore, but yeah, I did do it when I was there and for quite a few years after.
Yeah, I heard it's pretty epic. Like my mom and dad had moved out there before they had me or my brothers or anybody, and like spent a couple years out there living, I think, and there's like a slab or something, McGregor slab or something, that my dad climbed, and he said it's pretty epic.
Yep, yeah, and then all the stuff around like Boulder and Denver. I mean, there's just so much down there. It's so cool. Obviously, a lot of people too. So, kind of things that I hadn't really experienced yet, which were like, getting to trailheads pretty early and the parking lot's full, and I was like, oh my God, this is kind of overwhelming. So I spent a lot of time, the park housing is in the park.
Oh, nice. That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to be able to like run from my little apartment and be, on park trails. And it was like before I had a pet, so I didn't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did. That was kind of where I started doing some longer distance running. And
oh, it's awesome. So that'd probably help prepare you for firefighting then, how being in good cardio shape.
Yeah. So I went back. I'm trying to remember now. I went back after my last summer in Estes, and worked in Georgia for a little bit for like a weeds crew, and then applied to all those jobs and got one on the engine. And then, I just started running and hiking as much as I could. At that point, the stuff on the internet was pretty limited about like how to prepare. Yeah. I remember finding some website that was like, had these, I think it was that like, I think that PDF that we all have, that's like the Navy SEAL, like push-ups, pull-ups, whatever.
Yeah, like kind of that standard.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I guess I got to do I couldn't do a pull-up at that point. So I worked really hard at that for quite a while. And then, mostly was just hiking a bunch with as much weight as I could carry. I mean, I still, showed up not knowing what I was going to be expected to do. But I also had sort of a unique first season. I was on an engine, but I only did one assignment on the engine. The rest of my assignments that year were with hand crews. Oh, nice. So I got really lucky that I sort of got to see what that side of things was like and figure out pretty quickly that that's what I wanted to do. I did prepare. I would say pretty much like any other first year firefighter, I was underprepared. I just didn't know, and I had never done anything like that before, and I didn't grow up doing anything like that. So it was a bit of a shock, but I got a good understanding of what I needed to do, and then showed up subsequent years ready to go.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that first year is hard learning for anybody. I mean, I'm from Whitehall, so like I grew up hiking and stuff and hunting, so I had that, a little bit of an edge for that, but even like some of the other stuff, I mean, it's just like, pulling hose and carrying hose packs, like all the things that like you don't do anywhere else. And like you said, pull-ups, like I actually hadn't really done much for pull-ups until I went to, like I mess around, do a few in the gym or whatever, but like I never really like had to test and see like how many I could do. And I remember like, I can't remember the standards for jumping, like 11 or something, 7. I can't remember how many pull-ups is.
I think
11?
it's 7. I think it's 7. Yeah.
Yeah, 7 sounds more right. And I remember like it was a struggle to get 7 when I first got into rookie training. Like because you get like selected, I guess. So then I'm like, oh, I got to gear up my training, and I remember going to do pull-ups and like, and not thinking it was gonna be hard. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta work on this a little bit more. Yeah, so you just never do that kind of motion ever, like. Yeah, for sure. So I was like, oh man. Well, yeah. But then I got pretty good at it because I dedicated a lot of time to it.
Yeah, which is kind of I think a lot of what I learned was just sort of the fine line between, training enough and overtraining through the winter can be kind of tough.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Like especially folks who are nervous for type 1, like rappelling and hot shot and smoke jumping. Like you hear all the time where people get smoked because they went super hard starting at the end of fire season all through
and never
winter.
really recovered. Yeah.
And then they come like criticals or rookie training for like rappelling or smoke jumping, and they're already spent, know, and sometimes they don't make it through because they're too beat up.
Yeah. It's hard. Sad. It's hard to figure that out. And I feel like I, changed a few things every winter. And some things worked and some things didn't. And I probably, if I had stayed in fire, probably would have continued to sort of shift things year over year. But, it's hard because you have to be able to do, the endurance, the cardio, and also be strong and able to, lift heavy stuff. And it's a lot of different sort of things that are sort of competing with each other. Like, being really good at one thing kind of automatically decreases the other. And it's just hard to find that balance sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like I've never been much of a long distance runner, so that was always like a struggle for me, but it always seemed to help. And a lot of activating the core when you're out there, like digging and sawing and, like brushing and all that stuff, swamping.
Yeah.
So what'd you go after Big Timber, I guess?
So the guy I was dating at the time was working in salmon, so we would meet up in Missoula for like days off and stuff. And that was kind of where I like learned about the town of Missoula. And I had a friend from college that actually had moved here. So when the season was over, we decided to move here together. And that was when I sort of started looking at jobs here because I wanted to stay. And then I applied to Lolo in 2016. They didn't pick me up until halfway through the season when someone on the crew quit and I took her spot. But I originally was on the engine for the first half of that 2016 season here.
Here
yeah.
At the fort? Yes, right there at the brick.
Yeah,
like,
just in the brick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I worked with like
so well.
Stryker and Dave McGordon and all those guys. Yeah.
Man, great dudes.
Yeah, I know. So.
I haven't seen Dave McGordon since we worked together. So in 17, so you got on halfway through 16 with the
halfway
shots?
Through 16, yeah.
Was there a bit of a curve, like a steep curve, like these guys are moving a little bit?
Yeah, we hiked Sentinel with full gear the first day, which was in August, and I had been on the engine all summer, and I think I started with them on a Monday, and on that Friday, the week before, Stryker had gotten a call from Fiala that was like, we want to pick her up. And Stryker was like, you're going to be on the hot shots starting on Monday. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And I remember he like told me that and I just immediately started doing push-ups. So I was like,
he's like, get up.
No.
Not here.
Yeah. So, we hiked Sentinel. I gapped hard for sure, on that first hike and was like, man, this is a different standard.
What an awful feeling too for folks who don't know, like when you
Yeah.
get gapped out on a hike.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
And they had been on some pretty difficult assignments up until that point. So they were all kind of like, pretty hardened already. And I was just like, soft-handed showing up.
We've all been there.
And then, on my, this was like the horrible part of that season was like 6 days into my time with them is when Justin Beebe died on that fire in Nevada.
Shit. I did not know.
So that was my first assignment with Lolo. Obviously kind of crazy time for everybody. And obviously we finished there and flew back home. And so it was kind of all of 2016 after that. And, the subsequent year too was kind of a sort of us finding our footing again as a crew and figuring out what individual people needed to kind of get through that grief and us as a team to kind of move through that too. So yeah, it was kind of a whiplash of a season for all of us, but yeah, to join the crew and then have that happen a week in, was
yeah, brutal.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it was heavy. Everyone felt it. You know, even if you didn't know BB. Like on the last podcast, I was actually just talking to him a little bit because his folks still have their maple syrup plantation, so they donate a jug of maple syrup to the Putt and Pull every year. It's like the best maple syrup on the planet.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, I still, his mom comes through town and his dad Sheldon too, at least once a year. And we always, go out and she loves going to the bison range. And
oh, cool.
Yeah. So we're still all in contact with them.
That's awesome. That's the power of fire. Like people don't know, who haven't experienced it. Like it's bigger. Like everyone calls it a family, but it really is.
Yeah.
Like the connection it stays,
Yeah, and that is probably one of the most unique things about that career and that job is just, people talk about workplaces being a family or whatever, and I just don't think that's true in most contexts, but in fire it really does feel like that. Unfortunately, I think some of that is by necessity of, when stuff like that happens, there isn't always like the support from the organization or the funding to support people through that. So like people end up showing up for each other kind of somewhat out of necessity.
Totally, yeah.
But yeah, it is pretty rad to watch people show up for one another when things like that happen. It's incredible. And
Yeah,
it's
totally.
unique.
It is very, very unique because it's unfortunately something that happens every year.
Yeah.
Like whether it happens to the crew you're on or just like in the area or a fire you're on, like a big fire, like and then the next year was like no break at all. Like,
yeah.
And so that's when I met you, was in 17.
Yep.
And I was just kind of on an unofficial detail. I was on an official detail to botany, and then like they loaned me back because I was jumping still. So like,
yeah,
I would have to go refresh. It was like in the middle of fire season,
Yeah.
so it was kind of a pain to go back to the jump base, go through all the refresher stuff, and then get some jumps in. You got to go through all like the units and stuff, and like get all your proficiencies, and then get a few jumps in before you're actually like can go live as a jumper. So it was like going to be a bit of a headache. And then these guys were hurting so bad for engine bosses because they had a bunch of turnover. And so I was like, wow, come, I talked to Stryker and I was like, yeah, man, I'll come work with you guys then.
Yeah.
And I'm blanking on the FMO's name right now, actually. That was here. Both, well, the FMO too. Jeez, Shane.
Wasn't Z?
Z, yeah. Z was here as
Yeah.
AFMO. Yeah, oh, an awesome guy.
That feels like 1,000 years ago now.
It does, yeah. I
Yeah.
haven't seen him in a minute. And yeah, Z, what a stud that guy.
I know, yeah. Like, I always remember I did an assignment with him and McGordon down in Arizona because we would do that R1, R3 engine exchange every year in Cave Creek. And I just remember, like, we were doing some PT, and then at the end, we all circled up to stretch for, like, 10 minutes or whatever, and Z just took off, and I was like, you're not going to stretch? And he was like, you ever seen a cheetah stretch before it, kills? And I was like, no. And he was like, I don't stretch. I was like, okay.
You look like you don't have to.
I know. I was like, it doesn't seem like this has been a problem for you. But, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he could still probably for the rest of his life will be able to beat me up that mountain over there.
Same. Yeah, I remember like when we were up in Woods, what's it? Marshall Woods. Doing all that thinning.
Yep.
You were out there with us, right? Doing a bunch
of
thinning.
I think because I think actually you and I met in 2018 because that's when I had a tibia stress fracture, and so I was back with the district.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Would that have been? Yeah, I think that was that year.
2018 is like when I went to structure fire. So
I don't know 17. Then, man.
Because
we were here together, right?
Yeah,
you weren't on. You didn't detail on Lolo at all.
No, I didn't. Yeah, because the reason why I was here partly too was because the firefighter consortium was in like middle or end of June. So like it was kind of during refresher, like late refresher or something. So like I can't remember why I ended up like not refreshing at all that year as a jumper. So I think I was just focusing on trying to get a structure fire.
Yeah.
So I took the details so I could like train a little better and then I get on in Great Falls, and that was in 18. So like spring of 18 was like my last I guess
with Wildland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with Smoke Team, I guess, and I came back to Wildland after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you seem like you were kind of intermittent in 17 though, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. I might have had maybe I had like some wedding to go to or something and needed to hang out here before I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, I wonder if that might have been it. I think the crew maybe went off and you were
I had to like take
on hold.
Yeah. Can't remember why, but
I don't remember either. But it was kind of cool because there was like you there and you weren't really like with the district, and I was there and I wasn't really either. And then was it Martinez too?
Yeah.
He was on loan for a little bit too.
Yeah.
So there's all of us kind of just bumming out like with the engine, and it was great.
Yeah, and they kind of let us do whatever we wanted because we didn't really belong to them, which was really fun. But.
Yeah, it was so fun. And Jesse Kirpus, that's who it was.
Yeah.
And man, yeah, he was great to me. Like I would like to work for Jesse.
Yeah.
And I I thought he was gonna hate me because we went on that Sunrise Fire, and it was me and Luke Hilmess, and Martinez. And they just needed 3 folks, and I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll go hang. And it was supposed to be like on loan for like just like. I think we were going over to help film the role for our initial attack. So like we're going as a short mod. Then we ended up getting put into a 20person crew, and we stayed there for a full 14.
Never came back.
Yeah, I was like, this is fine. And a little extra money, and which was kind of wild though, because like that, like the first night we were there, the second night, that's when Lolo Peak just took off. Like Lolo Peak had been going. We've been doing prep and like going and doing like structure protection around the houses and thinning, and kind of waiting for it to blow out. And the second night, he just boom blew out of that canyon, and like my wife and like my brother and sister-in-law like were up Mormon Creek up in Lolo, and so they're getting their stuff out, and I had this big Dodge Diesel 2006, a 6-speed manual, and my wife hadn't driven it very much, so she was like, I gotta drive your fucking truck. It's like, how'd it go? She's like, it was fine.
God, yeah.
But she was like worried that I was gonna get burned up. Yeah, I was like, I'm not that worried about it. And where he lived, I knew it'd be all right, but I appreciate him like moving stuff out for me.
Yeah, it's a stressful time to be learning how to drive a manual diesel.
Absolutely, yeah. She hadn't had much experience with it, and it was jacked up and a big lift and stuff. So I was like, it's a little tough. But yeah, that was fun. But like I didn't know Jesse very well. I hadn't been with the crew very very long, and I really didn't know anyone too well at that point. And we had one of the brand new trucks, and a brand new topper. And Hilmess's flat file was just barely sticking out of his pack, and he closed it, and those bins are so damn thin, there's like that thin aluminum. It poked a tiny hole in it, and I was like, kind of looking at it, I was like, well, that will happen, And then like it happened like day 2 or something, so like right away, so we didn't think about it. Came back, get swamped it out, cleaned the hell out of the truck, parked it back, and then got our stuff out, and then we come back from R&R, and like Jesse was like really particular about the fleet.
Yep.
And I didn't know. And I was like,
yeah.
And like we all kind of get chewed out. It's like, oh damn it, that's my fault. So like right after briefing, I ran to his office, like, Jesse, like, dude, that was totally me. I had no idea. Yeah. Like I should have told you. I didn't think about it when we got back, so it happened like the first day. So I was like, I didn't want to, like, I totally forgot. I could just space it. I'm like, I'm sorry, man, I should have told you. He's like, I appreciate you coming. But like that kind of, I think, won him over, because he's like, oh man, I appreciate you fessing up to it, because he was pretty pissed off, and he was chewing everyone's ass, and I was more feeling bad. I was like, it's not those guys, it's me. That was totally on me,
Yeah, although I remember Zenner's rig, I think that same year, Stryker was using it for something, and it smelled so bad in there for like a month, and we were like, what the fuck is this coming from? And then finally I was like, dude, there's got to be something in here. And I like down on hands and knees with a flashlight, crawled around in there, and like under the passenger side seat, somehow shoved in between the carpet and like the console, there was a Ziploc bag with like 2 of those, what are those little breakfast sausages that you get in the little packages that you can like microwave?
Yeah.
That had been in there for,
little Jimmy Dean sausage,
like 2 little Jimmy Dean sausages in this Ziploc that had been in there for months.
Oh, just rotting.
And I just like,
it smells like
they
death.
Were just green, like a whole ecosystem had grown on them, and I just pulled them out and like showed them to Zenner, and he was like, oh my god.
Like, I forgot about this.
Yeah, but Jesse Kirpus was like so happy, because he, again, especially with the fleet, it's like
particular.
Everything needs to be perfectly, which I appreciate and respect and everything, but it was kind of funny how different people handled stuff like that. It was like some people really didn't care, and some people were like,
yeah, totally. Especially like in the jump, we're like, stuff happens.
Yeah.
But like, we don't use our fleet very much. It just kind of sits there for more like Region 8 or support.
And it's so visible here too. Like the RO and the SO, like everybody just drives past here all the time. So
totally, it's a pride thing, as like with the the shots, and like anyone who's got an engine, you want to make sure that thing's like immaculate as much as you can. And so I was like, oh damn it, I wasn't thinking about that. Oh, but I do remember that Z's truck stinking, and like. I just had to move it like to. I think we had to go pick it up for 14th and Catlin and bring it back over here. And I'm like, what in the?
Smelled so bad.
Yeah, and I'd been out like, I think I just got off a fire or something, so I hadn't showered in like a couple days.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that, like I'm like smelling myself. I'm like, it's like, did I step in something? Like, is it my socks?
Jimmy Dean.
Yeah, Jimmy Dean snuck up on me. I was like, damn. Like I got out of the truck. I'm like, no, like I was talking to Martinez. I'm like, dude, do I stink?
No. Those little sausages are so disgusting.
Bastards.
Yeah.
And they weren't even really that ripe at that point. They were starting to grow, get a little bit of a scent of their own, but nothing crazy.
Yeah,
so.
They were in there for a good long while.
Oh, it was so bad. We had such a good crew then.
That was a great year. And I feel like I got, we were doing a lot of project work, which was awesome because I got to get a lot better with a saw.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. We took it felt like a big dent in Marshall Woods, but it really wasn't.
In the grand scheme, yeah. But
we were sawing every day, like when we were not on fire, and that's what I was gonna talk about with Z, like the legendary dude that guy is. Like I need to interview him so I can like pick his brain on some stuff. But I remember he'd come up and it was like I remember teasing him like, you just come up here to make us feel bad, because he would just like he had like a short window of time. Like sometimes you come out and just be like,
do like 2 hero tanks and then just take off.
And we're all just like, oh God, and like nothing, like no big deal. Like, I got a couple meetings, guys. I'll see you guys back at the fort. And it's like, oh dude, he just came out here and shamed me and left.
Yeah,
that was an awesome shame at the time.
Yeah,
I was like, Jesus, this guy just crushed me.
I know, some crazy genetics in that man, but he works hard for it too.
He does.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the rumor? And I gotta ask him about this. This part of the reason I won't have him on, but like part of his legend, and I didn't know about it when I was here, but like someone's like, oh dude, like how long did you work with Z? I'm like, oh, a little while. Like I know him. I got to know him pretty good because I've worked with him on and off over the years.
Yeah.
And they're like, did he ever tell you about like when he was working at 9 Mile and how he dug the crawl space or the basement to his house with a shovel? I was like, no. And they're like, yeah, he would run to 9 Mile, like, I don't know, it was like 5 miles one way or something like that, or 6 miles one way, I think is what it was. Run to work, PT with the crew, go out and probably saw his ass off all day, and then run back and then dig until it got dark, like to build his house. I was like,
I believe it.
Yeah, I was like, anyone else, I would probably like question that, but like after working with him, I'm like, it's probably, I mean, he probably had like a tiny shovel too, because he's just such a beast.
Yeah, like one rock at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Like just a beast.
Yeah, for real. He could just go forever, and he was just
the nicest, most supportive boss too.
Yeah, and he definitely that first. Well, when I started in 2017, the first half of this, or 2016 here, the first half of the season with the engine, I remember doing a hike up Sentinel, and we like got to the top, and we all circled up to kind of chat about whatever. And I was just asking him about because he had been obviously in fire at that point for way longer than I had. And I was just kind of like, how do you feel about where you're at and this career choice and et cetera, et cetera. And he was like, I spent a lot of years sort of prioritizing, especially being on the shots over like my personal relationships at home. And he just was like, I think there's a time for that in your life, but then at some point your priorities change and you need to like sort of be aware of that. Cause you can sort of go too far with drinking the Kool-Aid and then kind of lose sight of the things outside of work.
Yeah.
And those relationships are the ones that'll still, be around for you once your career is ended, or you can't hotshot anymore, you can't jump anymore, or, you get really injured and aren't able to do those things. And he was sort of in the midst of that transition, and sort of realizing like that his priorities had changed.
Building the family and stuff.
Yeah. And that was just kind of a cool conversation to have. I think I was, 25 or 6 at that point, and maybe younger than that, I don't know, but it just felt like I was very much like, I don't have I don't have kids, I don't have a partner, I like can do this and sort of dedicate my life to this for now. But he just sort of planted that seed of just pay attention to where your priorities are. Because there'll always be people younger than you that you want to be like, I can still do it, and you can, and for some people that's great for their whole career, and for some people things shift a little bit, and you just kind of gotta like listen to yourself and check in with yourself instead of just sort of getting stuck in a rut and just like keep doing the same thing over and over and never really knowing if you're choosing that still, or if it's just kind of happening to you, you know?
Yeah, if you're just kind of going through the motions, just punching in and out of the time clock.
Yeah, like you just get, there's just inertia there, you just get used to doing something year over year, and then at some point, you don't really realize that you're not even really thinking about it. You're just kind of still showing up, and you don't really know why.
Yeah, and some people get sour that way. Like, end up like hating something that you loved, you know, because you like didn't realize like because like along those lines, and we had a similar talk, and someone else planted the seed to me like, there's an expiration date on everything, right? In life, it doesn't matter like what it is, job or sports or whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's a final expiration date for
on
sure.
all of us. Yeah,
I was thinking more short term, but yeah, I mean, we're all gonna check out at some point, guaranteed. Yeah. And because I had a similar conversation with him because I was transitioning. He was transitioning out of the shot life at that point where he had already, but like, so he'd already made the decision, I guess. And like for me, I was still like, I did the consortium, and I was getting out of wildland, and it was tough. I had like 17 years in or something crazy.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I had a lot of time in wildland, and I was like, man, I mean, I worked my ass out to become a smoke jumper. Like this was the goal, the dream, and I was like, but I was getting to the point too, like where it was like my Crohn's was really getting bananas, and like started like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, like in my life too, I've always had like a scale that I always try to go by, like fun and happy versus like work and like miserable, and like when it starts getting a little tip, like it should always be here, right? Like it should always be like, man, fun and happy is really high, and if it's ends up kind of getting a little more middle even, I'm like starting to reevaluate.
And that can be, that can look like a bunch of different things. I think in fire for Zenner, that looked like a shift within the organization to just a more administrative role, home more, with the kids more, that kind of thing. For some people, that's a career change. For others, it's just a different suppression job. It's like there's so many different avenues, and I think a lot of people really do love the job and have the ability to stay on a hand crew or jumping for a long period of time. And then others don't. And that's just, I think the biggest part of that conversation that kind of stuck out to me was just like, you don't have to do anything, like I think when you're in it, they're like, you got to be on an engine for a couple of years, and then you got to get on a hot shot crew, and then you have to jump, and and Z just was kind of like, you don't have to do anything. You can do anything, but like, you get these sort of like algorithms given to you in fire, and he just sort of was the first person to be like, you don't have to follow the algorithm. You can like do whatever makes sense for you and where you're at in life.
Yeah, and
that's really helpful.
That's so helpful. Yeah, because I'd towards the end of the season, all the seasonals were gone, and I think I just stopped back in. I don't think I was even here anymore. I think I just stopped in to like thank him for bringing me on and give me the opportunity to work with him for the summer, and they were checking in on me, and so it was really cool. It was just me, Zenner, and Stryker in the like kind of conference room area, and I was just hanging out. And there was like no one in the floor because it was the off season, and it was just like super chill. And they're just like, yeah, man. I mean, gotta have more home life, like pros and cons with me, and I think I just maybe accepted the position with Great Falls. And so like they were kind of helping me through that decision too, because it's tough, like you said, like and I think if you pay attention, like a path does kind of get laid out before you, but like being open to maybe some change is, otherwise you might just pass that path up,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and there's so many unexpected, people have health things that come up, or the whatever family to take care of, or there's any number of things that can kind of throw you off the plan that you had laid out in your mind. So
that's kind of the nudge I needed, I think. It's kind of like, maybe try something else. Like this is actually killing you. Come on. And I was like, that's probably a good choice. What was your bump? Like, what got you out of fire?
I mean, I think BB's death was sort of the first in many straws of sort of thinking about where I was headed. I think at some point I was sort of perceiving that I might end up in some kind of leadership capacity, like engine captain, or a squatty or whatever on a shot crew, something in that realm, or maybe even more in an administrative role. And it was really terrifying to think about being in charge of 19, 20-year-old kids who might be seriously injured or killed at work, for what I think a lot of us thought of as being sort of a fun summer job. And for most people it is. You do, it's statistically, it's probably not going to happen to you, but seeing that firsthand was just sort of a moment of making me sort of reassess if I was going to be comfortable being in charge of people who might be severely injured at work.
Yeah, because you get to that point, you just add what you're saying, like you get to that point where, did you ever have to fill up the blue envelope?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like that,
Yep.
first time I had to fill out one of those, like, oh shit. And
Yeah.
then the first time I like kind of knew that I was going to be one of the people delivering the envelope for other people, like, because I was the high enough up the food chain, I was like, you know, you request who tells your family. Yeah. I was like, that's something I don't really want to do. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm very appreciative of the fact that those conversations became a lot more open and honest during my time with the Forest Service. I think prior to BB, I had never really openly talked about what do I want if I get killed at this job. I've never really talked to my coworkers about what they wanted.
Yeah.
And that next year in 2017, when we did those blue sheets, we like, you know, some of my still to this day best friends were on the crew with me that year, and we really like talked about it. I was like, what do you want this to look like? Because, you know, when BB passed, there was a lot of confusion because he had filled one of those out, but usually it was like this, you know, 30-second in your stack of forms at the beginning of the year. You just kind of fill it out as quickly as you can.
Yeah, not thinking about it at all.
Yeah, you're like, no one's ever going to look at this. Like, what, you know? And it just sort of changed my mindset about how to talk about death, how to talk about, you know, what I would want in that situation. It allowed me to have more open conversations with like my family, my parents. You know, it kind of in a strange way was just gave me a better understanding of how to communicate about those like really hard topics. So
Totally.
Yeah, that was a lot of learning there too.
Yeah, and you remember there was like the option where you could have like it be like pretty low profile,
Yeah.
or you could do the color guard.
Yep.
And like at first, like, nah, I don't want anyone to like even maybe
Yeah.
even know that I died. Like I'll just keep it low profile. Like,
Yeah.
like where did he go? Like,
Yeah.
you know? Like no one really knows. And then like I think the third time I filled it out, I was like, maybe it'd be kind of cool to have the color guard there. You know?
Well, and it gives other people an opportunity to, you know, honor you.
Yeah, send you off.
Yeah, you know? And like in a way that is helpful for those who love you and, you know, want to memorialize something terrible that has happened.
Yeah, because I mean, historically, like, you know, you look at all the different cultures and tribes around the world. There's always some kind of ceremony.
Always,
you know?
yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
I think that's the best way to deal with it, like you said, to help, you know, the healing start after someone has passed on.
Yeah,
you know, with the
absolutely.
ceremony, like the official, like, yep, they're gone. You know, say your goodbyes and appreciate who they were, and then keep cruising, because you like no one wants you to be like mourning their, you know, like ruining your life because like you can't, all you can think about is the death of a loved one. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And we still, you know, August 13th for a long time, a bunch of us would get together. People have now scattered kind of to different jobs and stuff, but we have our little, you know, I always put maple syrup in my coffee on August 13th, and we'd go for a hike with Laura, who was on the crew with me, and, you know, we have our little ceremonies that we keep doing. And
so
those
important.
Those are beautiful. Yeah.
They are beautiful. Yeah, that's like, to me, like Day of the Dead has been a little bit more of a recent, you know, like thing that I've like chose to kind of celebrate, I guess. And because I think it's important, you know, like it gives you a day to pause and like remember the people that were, you know, impact your life, and kind of celebrate them in a little way, you know, like I think it's super important.
Yeah.
But I had a similar feeling, like with me, like, I mean, I got forced out because of health reasons, but I think I was already kind of had like a toe out the door because my rookie year, Luke Sheehy got killed, and I was in rookie training, and you know, his name was Luke, being Luke. So I got a few people who were like, who just saw like headline, they didn't like read anything about it, and they just heard about jumper death. People knew I was jumping. Someone heard Luke, you know, so I got a few text messages.
Oh, God.
I was like, no, I'm still kicking, you know, barely, you know, because I was in rookie training. I was like,
oh my God.
And I didn't, you know, like, it shut us all down, so I don't really know what happened. They didn't really know what the jump program was going to do, and so that was pretty heavy. I was like, oh man. And then my first boost is right to Reading, and there's like this big memorial for Luke Sheehy and stuff, and I got to meet his dad. His dad, Doug's a great guy, and he's a musician. He wrote a song about Luke, and it's a great song, and he's got a lot of good songs, and so it's just like heavy first year, you know. And then I think that same year, like maybe like a month later, is when Yarnell happened, and I was like, whoa. So just like super heavy year for my rookie season, and for all of us, right? Like it was heavy, the whole fire community, and it was like it never weighed on me like that before, because like there've been tragedies and stuff, and I get frustrated most of the time, because I'm like, damn, how'd that happen? You know, because like
Yeah.
Mm,
well, you want a reason too.
Yeah,
Like your brain needs a reason. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I would get like frustrated, and then like that, it started closing in. I was like, "Damn, a smoke jumper! Like that's nuts!" And then it's like, "Damn, a whole hot shot crew! Fuck!" Like these are the elites. Like, and then so that was kind of heavy, and then 14 kind of chilled out a little bit. I don't remember anything like bad happened in 15, but then 16 with BB, and then 17 was just awful. Like, was it Rice Ridge? I think it was the fatality from Sealy. There's one on the Lolo Peak, and I was on R&R when that happened. I was like, "Jeez, man!" Yeah, it just felt like this thing felt like closing in.
I know this forest in 16 and 17 was like crazy, but so I think that just was sort of a sobering realization, and then
start making you kind of think about where you wanted to be.
Yeah, just sort of made me reassess like my whole life, and like my risk aversion was sort of changing. I mean, I was like, my brain was finishing developing. Like there was just a lot of stuff sort of happening, and obviously I stayed for many years after that, but that was sort of the first time I'd been like, man, I might, because that, for those first couple years I was like, oh yeah, this is it, like I'm gonna do this as a career. And then just priorities started to shift, like Z had kind of told me maybe they would.
Yeah, totally.
And I took an EMT class. I had taken an EMT class in 2015, and that was sort of my first interaction with any kind of like medicine. My dad's a physician, so I had like grown up hearing a little bit about medicine, but had never really like been pushed in any direction by my parents or anything. And then I started I started looking at different careers in medicine. I looked at, nursing. I looked at going to med school. I looked at mid-level, like nurse practitioner, physician assistant, and talked to a bunch of people that I knew that were doing those different jobs, and shadowed some people. And the PAs seemed to have like a pretty good quality of life, and the money they made was, good. And the school was 2.5 years versus med school being like 8+,
Yeah, totally.
And then the debt obviously was not nearly as significant as it would have been if I had gone to med school. Which do you know Madison Alessi?
Madison Alessi. Yeah, I know the name.
She jumped. She's in med school now.
Oh, she is. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I was like, the name sounds super familiar. I don't know if I actually met her, but
yeah. But yeah, so I kind of settled on the PA thing, and then I had to go back to school here at the U in the winters to do all the prerequisites to be able to get into PA school. So that took like 3 years. And thankfully Phi let me do student seasons on the shot crew, which was like such a blessing. And I'm like so thankful for that, because there's a lot of places that would never let you do that. So I got lucky that like I could do, a good portion of a shot season and like make enough money to pay for school, which was, a huge deal. So that was kind of how I got sort of into that, was originally that EMT class. And then I was just like, dang, this is cool. And like, I want a little bit more regularity and stability in my life. And I was like, if I ever want to like buy a house, have a family, like I gotta make more money than I'm making now. Of course, like the year after I left, I think was when everybody got that like
bump in pay.
Yeah, like huge bump in pay. Yeah,
that's when I first came back. I was
like in school, and I was texting my old SAW partner, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I think they got like a $20,000 just like chunk of money." And I was, I was back in school making nothing and doing like my peanut butter and jelly life, and they were all making so much more money than I had ever had, and I was like, God, this is so annoying.
Oh, I know, because like that was a huge driver, because like I mean, it wasn't as bad, like the cost of living back then, but it was still
pretty significant.
As a seasonal firefighter, it was hard to afford anything, and then it's definitely worse now, but so, and
obviously like I'm so glad. I mean that pay bump had needed to happen for fucking decades before.
That was awful. You working your ass off all summer.
And making like 16 an hour or whatever. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, and people don't understand the amount of hours you're putting in. It's like we're putting in like a year worth of work in just like a few months. Like with 1,000 hours.
1,000 hours overtime.
Yeah,
yeah, that's a full year.
Yeah. Nuts, right?
Yeah.
And so when people are like, oh, I got the winters off, like, well, yeah, but I'm like recovering. Like,
Yeah. You sleep for a month.
That first month, I'm like
yeah.
dead. It's like I don't come out much. I'm like enjoying air conditioning.
Yeah, just avoiding the world for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, let things kind of quiet down a little bit and then reemerge.
Totally. Yeah.
And that was kind of cool. And around you was I was going back to school because like I gotten so sick. You know, like I was leaving jumping because of my Crohn's, and I got in a fire, structure fire, because a bunch of my friends were doing it, and it just sounded just from their conversations I had that like I could control my diet, maybe a little less stress, more time off. I'm like, that sounds way better. And then I did not like, calculate the stress factor going up, and then the lack of sleep even less. Like you don't get a lot of sleep fighting fire, but like man, you really get no sleep on a fire department.
Yeah,
and those
because you're doing those like 24-hour shifts.
Yeah, 24-hour shifts, and that's things usually start hitting the fan. Like
right
about dinner time, and sometimes it doesn't stop till like 4 a.m. Okay. So it's like.
So how did that? I mean, how did that go for you? I guess that transition originally.
It was a little different, like, because I thought it'd be, like, more, I mean, it's all, like, fuel, right, and fire, and, like, heat, and well, I'm trying to think of, like, heat, fuel, heat, oxygen, and... Fuel, yeah. The fire triangle.
Yeah.
Those 3 things. Oh, geez, I've been out long enough. I'm starting to forget these things. But I'm still kind of in fire, so it's kind of... yeah, it just starts to fade. And then, so, it's, those kind of things, and then... yes, but it's just, a little different. Like there's the second story search and or rescue or whatever it's called. And then like a bunch of, SCBA and stuff, like getting familiar with that equipment and tight spaces, which I'm a little claustrophobic. So that took a little bit.
Did you know that already before you got into that, or that kind of forced you to find that out?
Kind of a little bit of both. Like I knew it was a little bit, but I didn't know like, some of the training we had to take our SCBA and shove it. Like we're going through like a culvert tube pretty much.
Yeah.
And like had to go up this thing and then like take it off and wiggle through with our tank in front of us in the dark. And I'm like, oh God, I'm like, go to a happy place, go to a happy place, go to a happy place. It felt like miles. It's probably like 10 feet long.
Yeah.
but you can't move very fast. It's so tight. Like you're
just wiggling along.
Yeah, just wiggling. And it was like, oh God, don't get stuck. But like, I know if I don't make it and I don't do it, then I fail, I wouldn't make it through academy. So I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I ended up not being so good. But what I was going to tell you about before with the medical condition I had that was making things worse. Are you familiar with the pheochromocytoma?
Yeah.
I had one.
No way.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Man, that is a zebra. That is crazy.
Yeah, I had
Those
no
are
idea.
like super rare.
That's what they told me. And like I had to go to Mayo Clinic to get it removed because it's so rare. And like I had no idea. Like I mean I would
How
feel.
did you find that out?
Luckily through a CT scan because my Crohn's is going bananas. Like I was like having a really hard time. Like medication wasn't working, prednisone wasn't working, diet wasn't working. Like 'cause I'd fast like crazy. Like usually when my system was bad, like even on a fire, I just like quit eating, which is like really bad for fighting fire because you're burning so many calories.
Yeah.
And like I'd have like 0 coming back in, and but it would help. Like I could level it out. Like if I was in bad shape. But nothing was working, and so I ended up going to the ER here in Missoula, and I got so fucking lucky. Rad tech caught it, and she brought it to the I think it was a gal. She brought it to the radiologist, and like I'm like, how did she even see that? Because she's looking at my guts, and it's on your adrenal gland,
adrenals,
and I was like, damn. But another thing, I got like not a great ER doc, and he's probably swamped, so I don't want to like throw him under the rug. But like when I first went in there. I was having really bad problems with my guts. So they want to give me a scan. And then also, sometimes you get off a biologic, it'll give you shingles. So I had shingles, and I'm like, I got this like rash. And I'm like, what is going on? And like, my wife's like, I think it's shingles. I'm like, oh, I'm young. It's too young for shingles. And and I got this tattoo, so you couldn't really see it that well. But like, I go to the doc, and he's like, oh, it's bug bites. And I'm like, oh, all right. And I was like, yeah, it's
in
probably
like
bug bites.
a dermatome, like one line.
Totally was. And like, so I went to the walking clinic the next day because my wife's like, no, because she's occupational therapist. She's like, that's not it at all. And then like, it kind of like went like along the line, like you said, across my chest, under my arm, and like all I had to do was like raise my arm, and she didn't even get that close. She's like, that's shingles. She's like, classic shingles. And I'm like, and she's like from me to the door away. I'm like, I'm like, you sure? And she's like, like she knew like I wanted to, like a better like look at it. So she comes in close. She's like, yep. like, oh God. So she gave me like some medication to get rid of it, and like, or just some cream or something. I think I can't remember, but like, but then he didn't tell me anything about a tumor. And I was like, so I was just like bebopping around, going on my own happy way. And 3 weeks later, I follow up with my gastroenterologist, and she's like, goes through the thing and like, yeah, I don't know, your medication's not working. We got to figure something out. We got to do some more tests. And like, there's another medication I'd like to try with you. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm down for whatever. And she's like, and one last thing, we got to talk about the growth. And I was like,
What's growth?
The what? Yeah, like what do you mean gross? Like I have a inflamed colon? Like what are we talking about? Like, and she's like, oh, you don't know about this? I'm like, no
way.
And then she's like, oh, you have a tumor in your kidney. And I was like, shit. I'm like, how bad is this tumor? Like, I know where tumor's bad, and like being in fire at this point, like there's a lot of people who are getting cancer.
Yeah.
Like I think at that point I'd lost 2 friends to cancer.
Yeah.
Ed Lynn and Margarita Phillips, both jumpers. And I was like, shit, because like the cancer we get as fire folks is pretty fucking aggressive.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, that's bad news, but she didn't know what it was. Like, there's no way to test. I had to do that crazy long urine sample for like, I can't remember if it was just 24 hours. Or it felt like I had to do it for a couple days. So like I had to carry this jug around.
Usually they're like 48 or 72. I can't remember.
Oh, maybe that's
now.
why. Yeah, maybe it was 40 or 72. It was like big ass jug.
Just of your pee.
Yeah. Like, and you got to refrigerate it. So like, like I think the folks in Stevensville on the fire crew were like, go home, like take your pee jug and get out of here. I was like, all right.
I mean, I'm sure they all are carrying around spitters all day, so it's like whatever.
Right? Bodily fluid.
Yeah.
And so but I still don't know. So I'm like, I have no idea anything about any of this stuff. So send it in. They're like, oh yeah, your metapnephrine or something is like off the scale. So. And I didn't realize that like Mayo tracks that stuff. So I get a referral to kidney doctor.
Not oh my god, nephrologist.
Yeah. So I went and talked to them. I could not think of the word either. I was gonna say endocrinologist. And so I went and talked to him, and he was super confident. He's like, oh yeah, no problem. I can take care of this. And my wife's like, no, like we're getting a second opinion from Mayo, and we already started the process. And when I got on with Mayo, there was an endocrinologist, and I think the surgeon was on there, and they're like, yeah, we really would have like strongly suggested you came to Mayo. Like we wouldn't really let you do it anywhere else because it is a very intense surgery.
Yeah, and you got to be really careful with those tumors. Yeah,
because it reacts.
Yeah.
And so they had a huge team. I was in like a giant room. Like they wheeled me in. I'm like, this all for me? And they're like wheeling in tools and like, oh yeah. I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot. And they're like, yeah, this is only part of it. Like, oh, shit. And like there's a whole anesthesiology team. The surgeon had his own team. The endocrinologist had their own team. There's like 4 different teams in there, and I was like, is this worse than I'm thinking it is? Like they probably told me.
I mean, I'm glad they caught it. Like those are crazy tumors, but
that's what the doctor says. Usually, they find it in the autopsy. Yeah, and I was like, oh, yeah, no, they find it after you die. Yeah. Like, okay, and mine was getting pretty close. Like it was pretty aggressive at this point. Like they had me on the medication to help like kill it, suppress it down, and then it's supposed to help with surgery because like it starts to put it more in like a remission state, I guess, and then it's easier to extract. And like mine was so aggressive that like the medication wasn't doing anything, and then they put me on like a super heavy medication 24 hours before the surgery, like while I was in the hospital or a hotel at Mayo, and it still didn't knock it down like they were hoping. Dang. So it took like 4 hours to remove the sucker, I think.
Okay. And then were you there in the hospital for a couple days after, or no?
I was kind of surprised. They kind of kicked me out, and it's a funny story because like I came out of surgery and I still like they had so much anesthesiology. I was under for so long, and sometimes I don't do so well, and like I kind of knew I was like struggling. So like as they moved me out of the recovery room to like my normal room, I'm like talking to the nurse, and like I'm probably saying just like random ass stuff, but like I knew like I need to keep talking so I stay awake because I didn't feel good, and I was like kind of rolling around and like. Your eyes are so heavy because you've been sedated. And I was like, kept rolling around and moving and like trying to like, like move and talk to her and get her to keep talking to me. And I kept asking questions. Like, I think I just kept asking questions like, where are you from? What do you do? What brought you here? Like, and probably faster than she can even answer them. And then I get to the room and they're going to get the belt to help pick me up and put me in the bed. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. They're like, you're fine? Because I think they had to give me the epidural maybe. And so like my legs weren't supposed to be working. Okay. And I was like, oh yeah, I feel great. I was like, I guess I was like a drunk person. And So I jumped to my feet,
Oh,
and
no.
my wife's like, "No, he's not fine. Like he is messed up. Like don't let him get up." And so like I just like jump up, and I kind of almost like lose my balance, and they grab me, and like I'm fine, and like stumble over and like fall into the bed, and they're just like, and my wife's like, "I told you, he's not fine."
Yeah.
And like I remember that part, but not well. And then like, but my oxygen like just dove off again. Like I knew something was up, and like, so they put the nasal cannula on me for a minute, and then they turned it off. But then all the alarms kept going off, and I was like, told my wife, I was like, "Don't leave me. Like I'm not doing good." And I'd pass out super hard, and like I'd stop breathing, and then
oh damn,
like so they brought in the nasal cannula, and like because my O2 just was like not quite there yet, so like they stuck it back, the nasal cannula back in, got me on some O2, and I still was like not really trusting it. And I was like, I don't know, and then but I just need a little more time with some oxygen, and that was fine. But I was like super worried about it.
Yeah, dang, that's crazy.
I was up and walking like that evening, and then the next morning I think, and they released me in the afternoon I think.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah,
and then you just flew back that next day or something, or drove.
Yeah,
okay.
So drove back the next day, and I didn't really even need like painkillers too bad. Like I just kind of cruising. And then the frustrating part though was the recovery was so long because they went through my back and like had to cut through so many layers of muscle that they're worried about me tearing or herniating. So like I couldn't lift more than 10 pounds for like a month or something, maybe longer. It was a long time.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta get firewood. Like,
got stuff to do.
Yeah, exactly. The first day I got back, I went and got a bunch of firewood and probably went too hard, but I didn't. Everything stayed together. So, so it was good to go.
Yeah. And do you have to do any monitoring of that now, or okay?
Yeah, every year I get the jug again, and I take off work. I just hang out with my jug and fill it up, and
nice.
so far so far so good.
Good. Okay.
And there's and they biopsied it, to see if it's genetic, because like typically if it's genetic it'll come back. And mine wasn't, thank God.
Oh, good. Okay.
So I was like, oh sweet.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
Pretty wild, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a crazy like incidental finding to have.
Yeah, it's weird. Kind of like weird blessings, right? Like if I didn't have Crohn's.
You probably would have never gotten like a CT of your abdomen, and
probably been on a fire somewhere and just stroked out. You know, because I probably would have still been jumping.
Yeah,
because my health would have been better.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden I just have an episode on the fire and people like, what happened?
Yeah. I feel like I remember that because I took my EMT class with Ed, actually, and I remember like.
At Lynn?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Old Big Idaho himself.
Big Idaho, yeah. And that was, I mean, sort of his situation, right? Like he was fine, and then he had like a seizure or something on a fire. Yeah. And then they were all of a sudden like, he's got a glioblastoma, and then it was like, fuck, and I feel like, I mean, I think that happens to people just in general, but it does seem like it happens more in fire as like sort of these weird tumors that just kind of like are pretty quick moving, and you don't really find out until it's like kind of too late a lot of the time, which is
totally. Like fire folks are not real good at checking in their own health. It's like there's something weird happening.
A lot of them don't have health insurance for half the fucking year.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, you are ignoring some things on purpose, maybe. Totally fine.
Yeah,
I've always had this eye twitch.
Yeah.
Born with this.
Yeah, but yeah, it was nice to have like a plan for leaving, I guess.
Yeah, exit strategy, like.
Yeah, I think it's really hard. I think any transition in life is hard if you don't have like a next thing that you're, focusing on.
Totally.
And so, yeah, I was lucky that I had sort of picked a path and was excited about it.
Absolutely. And would you say like our personalities as fire folks like need a next mission, like something to do?
Yeah, you can't just kind of like twiddle your thumbs. It doesn't really go very well for most people with that kind of personality where they need to be like doing stuff, Yeah,
because that's what my experience was. And we talked about it. So like for folks listening, like our timeline, met here at the Brick, and then fought some fire together, and then like saw each other I think a little bit in fire, and then like didn't see you for a while.
Yeah.
I go back to school, see you on campus. And like we kind of had that conversation a little bit about like next mission thing, because I was laid up health wise, but like I could still like go to school.
Yeah,
and,
you can always do something. Yeah.
And I needed a challenge. Like it was like next challenge. Like all right, I got a degree. My first run through, I walked on the college track. I played rugby. I played some. Not really semi-pro football. Kind of, but like did all these like kind of challenges. It was like,
I'll allow it. It's real. It happened. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a league in Montana, but it was pretty soft. It wasn't like a real, like when you think semi-pro, you're like, oh man, so like you were like close to going pro. And it's like, no, I definitely was not. Maybe a few of those guys were, but it was. My
Montana Pro. We'll call it Montana
Pro. Yeah, it's close. You get pretty much besides the arena stuff they were doing back in the day. Like my first game, like I was in Billings and I was playing for the Helena Titans, and I was on my way to the first game, and I didn't really know anybody because like I couldn't come to practice. I was like, I can come for games. They're like, sure, we just need bodies, and I was like, all right. And I'm playing running back, and my offensive line is all smoking cigarettes. I'm like, oh shit!
Yes, the pinnacle of health.
Exactly. Like this must be semi-pro football. Like I thought it was gonna be like a little more studs, and they're big dudes.
Yeah.
And like that first quarter, they gave them hell. But after that, it was kind of all on me. Like they wore out.
Yeah, they're like, we got one good quarter, and then we're
like we gotta score as much as we can in that first quarter, and then it's gonna be an uphill climb. That's pretty quick. So I just, as long as I get the ball, I just keep moving.
Oh God, that's awesome.
Yeah, but so it's like these challenges that I just like, yeah, sure, jump in them and try to do my best. And so like school is like the next logical thing, because the first round through school is more like something to do after high school. I knew I didn't want to get into labor or any kind of job right away. I wanted to, go get an education and try to chase that route, and also continue being in sports. Mm-hmm. And then, but I didn't do well in school. I passed, I got my degree. Yeah. And then, so I went back and, I was like, oh man, I want to be a PT, and that's when I met you, is when I was getting my prereqs for PT. Yep. So I was taking like human anatomy and calc-based physics, which I never took more than algebra in high school or in college.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, all right. And, so I ended up taking that in Dillon, the calc-based physics, but human anatomy and a bunch of other like OChem and stuff here.
Yeah.
And which was, a hell of a tall order for one semester,
Yep. Yeah.
But, I realized like the work ethic that I had learned, especially like fighting fire and smoke jumping, like getting through rookie training, it's like you just got to grind and like stick it, if you keep like working at something, you're going to break through, you're going to finish, you're going to succeed. And like rookie training taught me that, because it's 6 weeks of, well, it's more than that, because I trained my ass off all winter, and then 6 weeks of hard training.
Yeah.
And then, like it's all on me, right? Like if I could give up at any time, like they even like, they'll give you suggestions.
Yeah,
about
they're
like,
trying to get you to give up
exactly,
at any time. Yeah.
Like, hey man, you don't have to be here. You know that. You're
yeah.
Like, no, I want to be here. Like, well, you could go home. Like, imagine how nice your bed would feel after this. Like that stuff. You're like, man, like I know it would probably be nice, but I want to be here.
Yeah.
And so like I really realized that like what everyone tells you, like hard work pays off, and like I got to like test it and see it work, So I was like, I'm gonna put this towards education, and it really helped. Like I was able to, I got an A in human anatomy and physiology, which is really hard to do. And like and so I was super proud of that. And then I ended up just shy of an A in physics, which I had no background in it,
Yep, that's super tough. Yeah,
super. It was really
God,
hard.
OChem killed me.
OChem, I only pulled a B in OChem because it was that one's super tough.
I got a B plus.
Did you? Hey, great. Yeah. Well, you're super smart. You got a big brain. I remember when I saw you like on campus, I was not surprised. I was like, you are so smart. Like, and I think me and you probably talked about this. Like when you run, like fire is so awesome because of the mix of people. Mm-hmm. I think when people saw me in the fire line, like, yeah, it makes sense. Like that guy's got a strong back and kind of a soft head. Like he fits in. But then like people run into someone like you, they're like, man, or like my buddy Nate at the jump base, and like these big brains, you're like, why are you here? Like I don't think I'd be here if I was as smart as you. It's like,
man, I don't know. I feel like I can't remember. There was some comedian at some point, and I heard there's this quote that I always remember is like, whatever, no one's smarter than me. They've just read a book I haven't read yet, and I feel like it's, there's some amount of whatever, different skills that different people have. I also am just really lucky that I had like a really supportive education-based upbringing. Like my mom's a librarian, my dad's a doctor. They very much care about like reading and learning, and imbued me pretty hard with that as like a pretty core, trait that I was expected to sort of have.
Yeah, kind of a great base too, right?
Yeah. And that, that's like through no doing of my own, right? Like that just was given to me, and I can take some credit for like what I got to do with that, but I do think a lot of it is just like what your support system has given you from like the day you were freaking conceived, is like determines so much of what you have the ability to do and the finances to be able to do stuff like go back to school. I mean, I didn't have debt going into my master's to get the PA degree. And that was, partially because like I had gotten a full ride scholarship for my undergrad at Penn State. And that was because I did really well in high school. And that's because my parents, were really, it was important to do well in school. And that was, it's like all these things, it's just so connected. And at the end of the day, I'm just like, really grateful that I have a really solid safety net because I know a lot of people don't. And so I could kind of take these risks of these career changes and trying new things.
But you also had self-belief and you could see like the, like the breadcrumb trail that you built, like that's what's so cool about being our age, and be able to like have a little bit of a timeline to look back on. Like you said, like those little things became a big thing, over time.
Yeah. So, going back to school, similar to you. I mean, in high school, I didn't do very well at math, and I had been told by a high school teacher of mine that I just was probably never going to be good at math, which I still fucking hate that guy for that, because it's like, I had to work harder at it. I also had to do physics and calculus class, and had been like a lot of my choice of major in undergrad my first time around was based around the fact that I thought I couldn't do like hard sciences and math. I just like avoided them because I had been told that I was just not good at that, and I was like, wow, that's just like not true. Like, totally. I mean, I had to go to office hours a lot, and I had to watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I went to the like student tutoring center, and I did a lot of extra stuff for sure. But it wasn't because I couldn't do it, I just like needed a little extra help, and I needed to work a little bit harder at it than some other people do. Yeah. And that's like the beauty of coming back to school when you have a focus and a plan and you're older and kind of know yourself a little bit better. Yeah. Is just that, those qualities of just being able, you're like, I know that I can do this.
100%. Yeah. And a little more driven too. And like you said, the confidence. Like for me too, I had a counselor that suggested I not go to college because, of my,
fuck those people, honestly.
But it was beautiful because it made you go. I was
fucking go, I mean, honestly, the guy that I was dating right before I started fire told me he didn't think I could do it. And that is like literally why I was like, dude, honestly,
fire, like, oh yeah, motherfucker. All right.
Yeah, he was like, it's hard. I don't know that you're gonna be. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna apply like today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. Totally. That's same thing.
It does kind of light a fire under your ass when people tell you can't do something.
Yeah, exactly. I had some folks that didn't think I'd ever make it as a jumper. Like, no, he's gonna wash like first week. And like one of my really good friends, Bronson, we were going through rookie at the same time, and he's such a genius when it comes to like this kind of stuff, like the human psyche. And he's like, he helped. We were pumping each other up, and he helped like get me pumped up and motivated for the first week. Not that I needed a lot, but then like he had been through a lot of military training, and he was a hotshot and all these other things. So he knows that like after like at a certain point, like it's gonna feel like a lot. Yeah. And he like all of a sudden he's like, yeah, man. What'd he say? He's like. It was super subtle. I was like, if you keep going, then like this person isn't gonna have anything to say anymore. I'm like, who? As a person that I'd worked with and I thought had my back, and I was like, oh really? He's like, oh yeah, they're telling everybody that you weren't gonna make it. And I was like,
oh my god,
okay,
yeah,
like, all right,
I will remember that later. Exactly.
Yeah. But then like I was like, thankfully, like I ran into that person like after I made it, on the fire line, and like I didn't bring it up, I was just like, I was like, hey, how's it going? How's it been? Because in my head I was like, thank you, because that helped keep the fire going,
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the most powerful thing you can do is just do the thing that the person told you they didn't think you could do, and
100%.
just show up and be like, here I am doing it, Yeah.
And you said something really important too about like once you're older too, you know yourself. Like for me, like, I knew math was a weakness always because like I never put any time into it, and I also knew that like those anatomy tests, because they're so wordy, and it's I could probably say most human anatomy courses across the nation are like best answer. So it's not like, so there's more than one right answer, but what's the best answer? And those are fuckers.
Yeah.
And they would trip me up because I'd be like, what? Like, especially I'm a bit of a slow reader, so I'd be like, I got to make sure I finish in time. So like I'd see the one that works, that does work. It's not the best, but it is correct.
Yeah.
And then so I'd get it wrong, or half credit if you're, professor's being generous. So like I knew I had to work on that. I had to slow down a little bit. I had to analyze questions better. I had to study more. Like, I was in the library like all the time. Before class, after class, like it was me and a handful of folks in the library, but I knew that about myself. And also I heard like David Goggins say, something about like when he was going through training, he had notebooks because he couldn't retain anything. So he like write it down in a notebook as he's reading it. So he like stacks of notebooks to help his memory because he had a bad memory. He knew that was one of his weaknesses. So he's like, so I just outworked my problem. Yeah. And I was like, yep, I could do that. So I like would go hole up in the basement of the Mansfield Library. They grab one of those rooms that had the big whiteboards, and I would draw everything out, every process, like working through the kidneys, like the nephron and all that stuff, like make sure I drew it all out from beginning to end, and then I could picture it when I was in the test. Like I could, as I'm reading it, I'm like going through the process of filtration. I'm like, oh yeah, that's there,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's such a, there's also so many different ways to learn. Definitely PA school was sort of a different level of school than anything I had been in before, and just way more challenging and way more material, and the pace was insane. And so there were like new skills that I had to learn, to be able to retain just like the sheer volume of stuff that we were expected to learn. It's going back to school as an adult is it's so rewarding because you just know why you're there, and you don't feel so lost, like you've chosen it.
Not trying to be cool, not trying to fit in. You're just
you're just like, I come to class and then I go home. I'm like, I don't care about the social aspect of this. It just
only
feels.
People I hung out with were like study groups.
Yeah,
I was in the front row, just like.
It just gives you such purpose, It's like and then you have. I feel like I loved the instant gratification of like test taking, because I was like, I worked really hard for the last 2 weeks, and then I get to like prove that I worked really hard for the last 2 weeks, and then I get the reward of a good grade. It was like the like dopamine hits of that were kind of fun.
Like proving like, look at that, my brain works.
Yeah, like I can do this. Yeah.
I remember one time being in the library, and I was like me and the folks our age, like we're always in the study groups typically because like we're not like trying to do anything cool. We're actually like there just to work. So it was like me and two other gals that were going back to school, and I remember you being like, "Is it cool if I just like crash here for a little while?" I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So like I remember you being so wore out, and I was like so proud of you. I was like, hell yeah, Lina, like just grabbing a cat nap while we're in here studying for a little bit.
Lots of naps on the floor of the library. Well, I was also working night shift as a CNA at the hospital during the winters, because for PA school you have to have patient care hours, like patient contact, and I think it was like 1,500 or something. It was quite a few.
Oh, damn.
So the last 3 years that I was on Lolo, in the winters, I was working night shift at the hospital and then going to school during the day. It was a lot. I mean, I wasn't always working full time, but honestly, most of the time I was. I honestly don't think I could do that anymore. I had just enough energy at that age and with that motivation to like do that.
I could tell you were on a mission back then.
Yeah,
you were just like all business. Like we'd stop and like kind of boost each other up a little.
Yeah, I'd be like, all right, bye.
Yeah, just a hot second too. It was so quick. It was like kicking ass. Yep.
Yeah.
We'll see you later. I'm going to get some more caffeine.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I had such a drive to get it done, and I'm like so stoked about it now. I mean, it was absolutely the right decision for me, and I'm like so happy with where I'm at now. it has all worked out super well.
Oh, it's super cool. And that's a time frame that I, what is the word, like I really like, I was trying to use a better word for that, but like, it's like a super cool timeline and progression of life. Like you said, nothing wrong with people who are sticking fire. Mm-hmm. Like fire is so awesome. Like the stories that we have, and the people, and it's super fun. But it's just not for everybody, right? Yeah. And I also kind of like, it's almost, I don't know, like the evolution of a human. Like where you had this like roughneck career, like one of the like hardest jobs ever, being on a hotshot crew, and then like progressing to more of a professional field where you're working 24, like not 24, but you're working around the. Working all year round.
Yeah.
Oh, caffeine's starting to wear off. I'm struggling. But, like, and then to where, like, you're this, like, professional now, and people who you work with probably, unless, like, you say something about an experience or, like, they somehow see it or they know somebody that knows you, like, probably don't know that you were a hotshot and doing all this badass shit before you became a PA.
Yeah. I mean, I will say my supervising physician loves to tell people that. So
I bet.
It's, I mean, I miss the community of fire, for sure. I think there are parts of me that will always miss that job. And like, I don't know, like my saw partner, was like one of my best friends. I mean, still is one of my best friends. Like just those relationships are so cool. And I think when you're in it, you don't really realize how special it is. And then you go to another job where it's just a job, and you go home, and you're not sleeping next to each other in the dirt, and like that's good, and that's healthy in some ways, and then in some ways it's like, man, it is really, really cool to have that level of closeness with people who are like technically coworkers, but it's like, it's so much more than that.
You build this bond on a whole different level.
Yeah. And like, those, I mean, obviously everyone who I was on the crew with in 2016 when BB died is like, those are people who literally all of us could call any other one on the crew at any time and ask for anything, and we would like do it,
Yeah.
And that's like, I think that's a level of, just familiarity and comfort that most other workplaces will just never. It's just not the same. It just can't be the same context,
There's just, like you said, there's just no way, because there's like the end of the season rolls where it's like cold in the morning, you're sleeping in an inversion sometimes, so like everyone's waking up and their eyes are like puffy,
your boots are frozen, and
everyone's like pretty miserable, but no one's talking. Like you look around and like all of a sudden someone starts laughing because you're like
just so ridiculous. You're like, what are we doing?
Everyone looks like hell, and you're just like, finally someone looks at another person, starts laughing, like, yeah, you look like shit. You're like,
but like you get through it, and you have other people who are going through it with you, and that's what makes it bearable, And I will say the job, because now I work for Missoula Bone and Joint, and I work for orthopedic trauma surgeon. So we do have some, like, I think orthopedics in general, a lot of the personalities are kind of similar to fire people, actually.
Oh, awesome.
And then orthopedic trauma specifically, there is some similarity of like the days are rather unpredictable. I don't know. It's not like we plan, weeks in advance. It's just kind of whatever comes into the hospital overnight is the stuff that we deal with the next day. So there's some similarity, and like my schedule can kind of be all over the place. But I feel like fire did such a good job of making me just like roll with it. And so I feel like most of the time I'm just like, I'm like so used to this feeling of like, maybe I thought yesterday this was going to be a 5-hour workday, and now it's like a 12 or 14-hour workday. And I'm just like, I don't know. It'll be fine. Like I don't know. It's just those qualities of being able to just kind of like roll with the punches and deal with things as they come up, is something I'm like super, super grateful for from fire, because it has allowed me to sort of feel really comfortable in this career that I'm in now.
Totally. And like grab another gear and grind. Like I don't think a lot of people like develop that gear if they don't have to.
Yeah.
So like, like you said, like all of a sudden your shift gets extended. It's just like ops normal when you're in fire, you know? So like being able to do it.
I'm gonna grab a snack.
Exactly. Grab a snack, grab some caffeine, maybe some chew, and
I am trying. This is like the 4th time I've tried to quit nicotine. I'm like, a month in now.
Hey, congrats. That's good.
Thank you. It is difficult.
It's tough, especially when you're like worn down. Like I don't really chew, like, and I never really like. Luckily, didn't develop it too much. But like those long assignments or like those long shifts where you're out all night, I'm like, and caffeine's just not cutting it anymore.
Something.
Yeah. Like I'm already like as much caffeine as I can handle without my heart exploding, and I'm still like my eyes are shutting. So I'm like,
and your pheochromocytoma's like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. keep it coming. And like that's probably why. Jeez.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Probably make it grow a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely understand the nicotine.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, I'll keep talking to you all night, so we're probably gonna have to do part 2 if you're down.
Sure. I live here now, man. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, we'll have to do another one because I'm leaving some stuff on the table, but I don't want to like stretch this out too much longer.
Okay.
We both got places to be.
Yeah. Gotta go make some dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Lina, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. It was so good seeing you. Thanks for chatting.
Yeah, always. Great seeing you too as well. And folks, thanks for listening. Appreciate you.